5 questions, quick fire round. If you weren't playing rugby, what would it be that you'd want to do?
Basketball.
Favorite sports person and why?
It's a tough one. Michael Jordan.
Why?
Because I wanted to be like Mike.
Favorite person to lace up boots with?
Jerome Reed, because he's a old Papa Kura boy, and just loved playing alongside him. He was just incredible.
Describe your parenting style.
Laid back, ride the coattails of my wife. I think she does all the work.
What is the ideal date, day or night with wifey?
No kids, beach, seafood, and beers or sangria.
And here's a shout for the line, and Kaino's in. To the right, fence, but up on the line, but ball throwing a pass. Big Jerome Kaino presses over. Jerome Kaino scores.
Kia ora, talofa, and welcome to Coconut's Koko Talanoa with Jerome Kaino.
Away it goes to Kaino, and Kaino's in for the try.
Jerome has played over 130 Super Rugby matches for the Auckland Blues, 80 tests for the All Blacks, 2 of which were back-to-back Rugby World Cup titles, and most recently Jerome has just topped off his professional rugby career with European and French titles at Toulouse. Beyond the rugby field, Jerome holds a lot of other important roles, such as business owner, father, hubby, son, and brother, to name a few. Welcome, Jerome, and thank you so much for taking the time out to have a little bit of a chat.
No, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I know a lot of people will probably expect us to go straight into a bit of a rugby talanoa, but I actually want to kick off things more on the business side.
Yep.
So I was hoping maybe you could just tell us a little bit more about your brand and kind of the motivation of getting into the business space, close to ending your rugby career.
Yeah, me and a couple of my best mates, Rocky and Bayon, obviously when we were going through confinement and COVID lockdowns during 2020, we'd always been talking over WhatsApp and obviously the odd Zoom call here and there, and we always knew we wanted to create something together. It was just a matter of what, and then we settled on underwear because that's something that we always found that we couldn't find the right pair, and we were like, why don't we just try and make our own? But ever since we were younger, we always wanted to give back to our community, and as of late, there's been a huge push towards mental health and mental well-being, but for us, we wanted to make it something that we truly believed in, and definitely men's health was something that growing up there was always that stigma that we didn't really talk about our feelings. We weren't as open, and we're the first ones to put our hands up. Majority of the islanders, we don't really show our feelings that much as men. The girls do a lot, but men don't. So for us, we thought that we wanted to push a message or a movement through our company that that tried to break that stigma in terms of how open we were about our problems, and how we how we can give people confidence through that. And our company is not the only one that's doing a lot of great movements and a lot of great messages out there, but we just wanted to contribute to that message, and that's something that we're truly passionate about and we believe in.
If you haven't, like you mentioned, you personally haven't grown up, in those kinds of topics in your household, how have you personally come to terms with actually being open around these topics, especially something around how you feel and your mental health and well-being?
Oh, it's through a process of learning, of obviously being a pro athlete for a certain amount of time. I've seen players go through mental struggles and through mental health, and I've seen a lot of players and a lot of people overcome them. And for me, it's just learning through their process, how they went through it. And a lot of people deal with it in different shapes and forms. And so for me to overcome, or even to be open about it, is just through learning and through experience, seeing a lot of younger players overcome whatever struggles that they've had to go through, and also growing up in my own community, a lot of people struggling with weight, confidence, different certain things that contribute to their mental well-being. The main message that I've gotten from a lot of people that have been through mental health struggles is that communication was key. It's being open and admitting that there is a problem, not keeping it to yourself. So for us, through our company and through our messages, that we just want to break that stigma of not just normalizing people talking about their problems.
Recently with Mint, where you've done collaborated almost with Movember, and shared some pretty heavy stories around people's mental health and well-being journeys. Why was that kind of important for you and both co-founders to actually stand up and make that kind of alignment with your business?
Yeah, we wanted to obviously give back to Movember because it's such a great cause. So for us, we wanted to help push that message as well, but coinciding with that, having a lot of my mates and some friends who wanted to put their stories out, probably because putting their stories out, if someone could read it and really relate to it, that's something that'll go a long way in changing someone's life or another person's life. That if they've read those stories and as you said, Ash, they're quite deep. A lot of them, we had to make sure that some of the boys were okay with sharing their stories, and for them, I think they gave us a lot of confidence that they were good with it, because they said, yeah, sure, I've always wanted to do it. It was just a matter of how. So to get approval from a lot of my mates and a lot of guys that were able to share their stories through our social pages, it was incredible. Our wish is that someone out there struggling or thinking that they're the only ones going through these certain hurdles or barriers, if they could read that and relate to it and know that they can, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's it's a good way in changing that process for whoever reads it.
Yeah. You mentioned that you've always been a pro athlete for a while, so the resources and access to quite a bit of information around how to deal with pressure has always probably been available to you. Is it kind of at that stage where you know your own triggers of how to keep on top of your mental health and well-being, and if so, what do you personally do?
Yeah, I was quite lucky. I was able to get access to a lot of different specialists that specialised in sports psych and high intensity environments to be able to deal with pressure. But I found a lot of them really interesting, and they helped me a lot. I think the best thing that Gilbert and Enoka, there were two guys that I worked with the All Blacks, was Gilbert Enoka and Kerry Evans, and they're awesome mental skills coaches or doctors or whatever you call them. They were awesome in terms of dealing with like in the game stuff like high pressure environments, teaching you to visualize certain environments in the game, certain pressure moments in the game, and how you would react. But also, like what we learnt about what we could do on the field, it also helps you with day-to-day life, how you can deal with just the pressures of day in, day out life. Is for me, what worked for me is just to make sure that I'm just relaxed and think about each situation calmly, instead of going going full speed into certain things, and then not really being as effective as I could be. So I use that on the field just to try and stay calm, think clearly, and also day-to-day life when the kids are putting me under the pump a little bit. I try and stay as calm as possible and think clearly, and hopefully my actions that follow are just as calm.
How do you actually practice that then? You mentioned your kids. How do you normalize these kinds of conversations with your own children in your own household?
Oh, it's hard. It's tough. I don't think I'm as calm as I think I am, but I try and stay quite relaxed, because I've always been of the notion that if you are hot-tempered in a hot-tempered situation, then everyone else around you is just going to be the same. But if kids are arguing or everyone else is arguing and there's a lot of noise and you're the calm, then hopefully that changes the what do you call it, the atmosphere, and you could probably get a better outcome that way. But yeah, it's easier said than done sometimes, but I try and take that approach.
Talking about your kids and stuff, we'll probably head into your transition, moving from comfort zone of Auckland. You know, you've played here all your life, raised in Papakura. How was the transition of actually taking your family overseas to a foreign country, and trying to make a career out of it?
Man, it was pretty. For me, I thought it was quite smooth, because my wife's visited France before many times, and I've been to France a lot of times before through rugby tours. But my wife's father's family is actually from France. They're French, and so there was that connection. But it was pretty smooth making the move over, because we'd been here before, but also there were a lot of foreigners that were already here, which helped the transition and settling in a lot easier.
Your kids and their kids are actually part of like a group now that it's pretty common that you'll be raising Pacific Islander children in other countries, away from what you yourself were known growing up. Like, do you still try to instill that kind of sense of traits that you had growing up, or is it kind of like letting them flourish in a different country and letting them develop whatever that looks like?
Well, the good thing is that me and my wife have kind of different parenting styles, and she likes for them to like as you said, flourish in a different culture, experience everything around them, and I think I have a little bit of that old school. Just try and get them to experience a little bit of what I experienced as a kid. But I think the way my wife does it is probably a little bit better. But the one thing that I do want to instill in my kids, I just want them to learn or understand Samoan. So I try and speak to them in Samoan at home as much as possible. I've probably been a little bit slack lately, but I try and speak every now and then so they can understand certain words. So hopefully one day when we get home and my mum's blabbering off in Samoan to them, that they kind of get an understanding of what she's talking about.
They must actually, are they in English speaking schools, or do they go to French schools as well? They must be picking up different languages as well.
Yep. So my daughter goes to international school, and my two boys go to a French school, but they still learn French at school. They have certain hours a day where they have French lessons. But my daughter's exposed to French, Spanish, I think German at school. So majority of her friends are Spanish, because we're in Toulouse and we're so close to the Spanish border that there are so many Spanish families around, and they're all speaking Spanish. So my daughter comes home every now and then, every other day, requesting a Spanish song that she heard from her friends at school. So it's good to have it. I think for me it's an awesome thing having this experience on this side of the world, different culture, but also having the kids exposed to all different all different lifestyles and different languages, which is incredible. Well, I think I'm fluent in Samoan. I understand it and I can speak it, but they said if you can speak another language, you should be able to pick up French easily, but I'm struggling. I'm in my 3rd year and I'm battling.
Ooh,
but
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's at a certain age or something.
Yeah, I think the cutoff's 20 or something.
Maybe it's the younger kids. That's probably what the research says. How is that working for you then in your new role? Like, obviously you're staying over there with Toulouse. Tell us a little bit about what you're actually doing now work-wise.
Yep. So I've made the move over to the coaching staff with Toulouse, which is an awesome opportunity for me to be able to learn the other side of the profession, other side of rugby, and it's interesting. I'm really enjoying it. Working with the same group of guys that I played with, but also learning a lot off the coaches in terms of how to manage certain players, how to coaching techniques, which you never really think of when you're a player. It's totally different because when you're a player, you're selfish. You just worry about yourself and you just worry about getting your body right to be able to play in the weekend. But as a coach, you got to worry about 40, 50 other guys and how you manage their bodies. How do you get the best out of them, which is interesting. It's all part of the learning. But in terms of the language and how I deal with it, I think rugby French is easy. Like you can hold a conversation, and when you're speaking about rugby or if you're coaching rugby, understanding it's a lot easier than being spontaneous with your talk. But I think I get by. But it's when the French have their conversations and they start using their slang, their day-to-day slang, and then they start speaking fast. That's when they lose me. But I'd like to be further ahead than what I am right now, but I think hopefully I'll get there.
Did you ever plan on going into coaching, or was it kind of something that just happened after you're in, towards the end of playing?
Yeah, no, it was just something that I kind of not really fell into, but I kind of decided a year in from retiring because what was happening around the world, COVID, and obviously getting home was going to be a lot more difficult than planned, as planned. But I always wanted to stay in the game for a certain amount of time, just to make that transition a little bit easier, because rugby's given me so much and I've been in it so long that cutting it straight away would have been a bit of a shock. But this opportunity came up, and for me it made a lot of sense just to still enjoy this side of the world while we can, and also still be involved in the game. So the club gave me an opportunity, and I'm really grateful for it, and I'm learning a lot and I'm really enjoying it.
Like, obviously something is working over in France, Toulouse as well, in the wider French rugby kind of environment with the last results. What do you put it down to? Why do you think that they have been able to beat the All Blacks and others?
Yeah, no, that's we were quite lucky that we had a lot of Toulouse boys in that French side, and I think we put it down to these younger players being at the top level for a certain amount of time. When I arrived, they were like the Romain Intermax, the Antoine Dupont. They were already playing with the top Toulouse top team, and they were incredible. So I think it's just development through the academies, and also getting exposure to the top level so early. But I've said it before in other interviews. I think French rugby are going through a golden era at the moment, and these young boys are at the helm of that. So it's just incredible to be here, to be able to experience it, but also to work alongside these young players on a day-to-day basis. It's pretty incredible.
Talking about Rugby World Cup, with the new eligibility rule changes with World Rugby.
Yes.
Are you going to be coming out of retirement?
No chance. No, I think I missed the boat on that one. It would have been good if it was about 6 or 7 years ago, but no, I'm way too old. I run around with these guys at training sometimes, and I can't walk the next day. It's just the game's just faster, bigger hits with some bigger athletes these days, and I don't think I could keep up.
What are your thoughts, your general thoughts around the change? And do you think there is a downside for it for some nations and players, or all good?
I don't think there's a downside at all for anyone. I think it's all positive, and it's at long last, lucky it's finally come to fruition that they're able to put a pathway for players that aren't selected and been locked in for so long, and then can't go back to their home nations or wherever they are. But I don't think anyone misses out, because there's that 3-year stand down for any country that's selected ex player. So if they haven't selected them for 3 years, then they're not going to miss out. They obviously going to want that player, so that player's after 3 years free to play for whoever they want, whether it's Samoa, Tonga or Fiji or wherever. So I think it's all positive, and such a great thing to finally have.
Yeah. Do you think that there's, like now that they've actually been able to do that, and Beaumont's been able to kind of essentially get what he promised for his next chairmanship, what else do you think needs to happen in the space for rugby to kind of stay relevant or competitive with other codes?
I think they're heading in the right direction at the moment. There's I thought there were too many rule changes for people to keep up, because you look at rugby league and other sports, they're like spectator sports, because people get it and they can keep up with the rules. And I thought for a period there that we kept changing our rules too many times, and even people that have been playing the game for so long, they get confused on terms of what the rules were, let alone someone who's just started watching rugby. But I think they're getting to a stage at the moment where the rule changes helping the game be more attractive, get a lot faster, but also they've always got to keep those rule changes in to keep the game safer. So that's always going to evolve, and that's always going to change, but it's got to be there just to keep player safety at the forefront. But I'm really enjoying the new rule changes at the moment, where they're trying to make the game flow a lot better and be a lot more attractive to your normal punter who just wants to watch a good spectacle.
So I just wanted to say thank you very much for taking the time away from the Fan Bam to actually have this kokotala noa for KokoNet, and we just wish you all the very best for your next chapter, and hope you have a really good festive season with the Fan Bam.
Thanks, Ash. Thank you.
Thank you.